All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. Before I get going, I'm gonna be talking about the big interview with Dan Rather and the band Styx. I just love doing that impersonation. Ghost Towns, first last time. This is really blowing up the internet. This band is fantastic, and apparently I'm the only one really recommending it. It's what I do. And then people get back to me and they say, you're the only one talking about this stuff. And I go, it's way more profitable to do salacious videos. So hence, we're going to talk about Styx yet again. Holy crap, Batman. So the reason I'm going to be talking about Styx is because Access TV or whoever uploaded yet another video. Styx bandmates share their thoughts on Dennis DeYoung. It's the big interview with me, Dan Rather. First of all, why is Dan Rather interviewing Styx? Why don't they go on with Eddie Trunk or somebody, right? Dan Rather here, and I know so much about Dennis DeYoung and Tommy Shaw. I grew up listening. No, you didn't grow up listening to Styx. Styx is before your time, Uncle Dan. So anyway, they go on again. This is probably a clip from an older interview because they've uploaded, Don Felder on why he left the Eagles, which is, again, a pretty interesting story. But this whole thing with Styx, JY talking about, Dennis fired this manager. And then Tommy's like, well, if we had just taken a break. So Tommy Shaw in this portion of the interview almost sounds like, hey, if we had just stopped for a while. And Dennis DeYoung has even said, look, we do the Roboto thing, and then we come back and we do something different. We come back and we do an album that's more in line with what JY and Tommy want to do. This breakup is really stupid. And then again, 1999, Dennis has explained the virus he had. He had a virus, predating all of the wonderful stuff. Too bad they didn't have a vaccine, Dennis. Sorry. He had this virus, and then he became light sensitive, and he wasn't going to go out on tour. And so the narrative has been, and you can watch my other videos on this, that Dennis wasn't a team player. And then they're like, well, again, it's just like the Journey thing. Well, we're going to go out on the road, and we're going with or without you. And, they're suggesting that there be an understudy for the shows that Dennis can't do. And if I were Dennis, I would say no, because then people are going to see this understudy. It's not going to be the same as seeing me in the band. As much as these guys don't want to admit it, Dennis DeYoung was the star of the band, and then followed by Tommy, and then a distant third would be JY, a very distant third. He's only third because he's JY. He's not third because he adds anything super special to a Styx concert. In fact, Larry Gowan, the current version of Dennis DeYoung, the spinning keyboard guy, he's at least a showman. And this is the kind of schmaltzy shtick that they said they didn't like, but yet they hired a guy who does schmaltzy shtick. All right? Sorry. Had to say it that way just because they're always wanting to say we're this super rock band, we're Styx, we're going to get our rock mojo back, even though our most successful song, Mr. Roboto, was way outside the norm for Styx, right? But Dennis has made the point, hey, we do rockers, we do ballads. This was 1983. It was a smart song to do. It's like Styx got a little new wave there. They got a little artsy and dancey, and they just went with the times. But oh no, we lost all our fans. All our fans were meat-eating, red-blooded, testosterone men. No, No, they weren't, thanks to Babe, okay? The biggest record you guys ever had. Again, Dennis writes a song for his wife. I've been through this. These guys just don't acknowledge any of this. They talk about all of these issues with Dennis DeYoung, right? None of this stuff apparently could have been worked out. The interview, which again, I just don't understand Dan Rather interviewing Styx, but okay, they agreed to go on, and Dan was sympathetic, and Dan is really interesting to listen to. He's the big interview with me, Dan Rather. It's bigger than anything else. I mean, I don't know. It's just disappointing that they're regurgitating this, almost as if, hey, Styx again wants to put another nail in the Dennis coffin. Like Dennis doesn't exist. If you notice, by the way, Dennis is not touring anymore. I think he's done. He hasn't announced anything, but I think he's all done. He made those 2 albums, and those 2 albums were way better because they were more representative of what Styx is all about, rather than, Styx puts out their ode to Pink Floyd and progressive music, and that's fine because, again, they're meat-eating, red-blooded whatever. And Dennis is like, no, we were rockers and ballads. The first song that got us on the map was a tune called Lady. It's a power ballad, basically, progressive power ballad. And without that song, Styx is nothing today. They're nothing. And this is how these guys show their gratitude and respect for DDY. And so, it's mind-boggling that they're still putting this stuff out there. Like, Dennis is already probably fairly demoralized. Like, hey, at the end here, couldn't we just get back together again and do a tour? No, instead, Styx is going to continue to put out the narrative that Dennis wasn't a team player, that Dennis screwed up the management, that Dennis didn't have light sensitivity issues and didn't have this virus that, kept him off the road. Notice since like 2003, Dennis has been touring, and these guys just didn't want to wait. I heard there were some, and Dennis has echoed this, that there were some financial burdens that these guys had. So yeah, they had to go on the road. It was a financial necessity, but you don't hear that in the interview, that they needed the money, so they had to go out without Dennis. And look, I'm not a Gowan fan. I'll admit he's talented, but he was talented when he was doing that stuff solo up in Canada. I know he's got a following there. He's just not my thing. And by the way, he has all of those traits that Dennis DeYoung had. He's the showman. Again, he's got the spinning keyboard, and that's just the way. They've replaced one guy that they said wasn't very high on testosterone, and they put in another guy who might even have less testosterone in certain ways. If you've seen his outfits and how he conducts himself on stage, I don't know how that was a big change when it comes to that character filling that role. And vocally, he can't hold a candle to Dennis DeYoung vocally. Now, I know Dennis might be not where he once was vocally because he's probably, 75, 76 years old. I haven't kept track of his age. But, Toby Hitchcock, if you want to find somebody who sounds a little like Dennis DeYoung, Toby Hitchcock, Mark Shearer, those are 2 guys that sound a ton like Dennis and would restore credibility to the band. I don't think either one of them plays keyboards. Whatever, hire a keyboardist. That's what Chicago does. They find guys to plug where they have weak spots, and then if they can't play that instrument, like their lead singer, what's his name? Can't even think of his name, but the current lead singer of Chicago, Neil Donnell. He doesn't really play any instruments. I think he plays an acoustic guitar, or he pretends to play one on stage. It looks really fake, but maybe he's playing it. I don't know. Anyway, before I go, Ghost Towns, First Last Time, just phenomenal music. People are getting back to me. People, all kinds of people saying, yeah, this is good. This is good. Thanks for the recommendation. Also, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio. My good friend Audi over there, programming like nobody's business, just added a local artist to his independent playlist, which is great. And so you can check out all of that music over there. Tommy Lee Cook is the gentleman I'm thinking of. He is the owner and proprietor of the world famous Buckingham Blues bar here in Southwest Florida. So I think that's really cool that his music is getting some airplay on this great internet radio station. You can check it out, modernretrofm.com. All right, the big interview is over. Dan Rather signing off.